it's getting out of control, you know? The dating market is getting a little bit out of control and everyone's catching on to this, you know? No one's like blind to the facts of the dating market. And I think it's time that the OT Nath addresses some of this stuff, right? So let's take a look here.
Reached my mental state of overstimulation. I can't handle no more.
Hey ladies, I got a lot of comments on the single moms video saying that you can still become a single mom if you get married or at least feel like one while you're married. I stand by what I said.
And this is what I'm talking about. You know those moments when you're like, you're squeezing orange juice. You have a bunch of oranges and you're squeezing orange juice. And we walk up to the fucking orange stand together. And the guy gives you a small basket of oranges, talking maybe 5 oranges. And he tells you, "Hey, you can squeeze all 5 of these oranges. You'll have a gallon of orange juice. You'll have way more orange juice than you could ever need." But you go around telling people, "Hey, I only got a cup of that orange juice." You're downplaying how much juice you got per squeeze. You have a good man here and you're downplaying it like you have none. You have no man. And it's things like this where it's like kids understand, to be honest. I mean, really, kids understand, to be honest, and adults don't. And it's sad.
Married before you carry, if you carry. But I do want to highlight the married single mom stories because they're also very important. I'll come back with my thoughts at the end.
It's damn Saturday, and I'm up rushing her to get ready for school. Nobody said nothing. Husband in the house, nobody said nothing. I'm all over the damn place. Yeah, I swear to God, I've reached my mental state of overstimulation. I cannot handle no more kids. This don't make no damn sense. I woke up on a damn Saturday to get her ready for school. It is no school. Don't.
It's besides the fact that we can all tell why you're divorced. Whether you actually were the ones that laid the papers out and said, "Here, I want a divorce," or it was the other way around and he did it, it was going to happen anyways. And the reason it happens will always remain the same. Doesn't matter who does it. It doesn't matter who drove down which side of the street. It doesn't matter. Because if you're meant to be single, you're gonna be single. That's what we call destiny. We call that destiny, and we call that just like meant to be, you know. If something's meant to be a certain way, it's going to be that way.
Even know the day of the week. It's been so much stuff going on with me, y'all. I don't know. This is postpartum depression still. I thought I was making my way out of that. But y'all, this don't make no sense. What? Ooh.
I really don't understand, especially because it's like, a lot of these dudes out here, they're like, well, I work too. Okay. And the state of whatever state you live in requires that you get a certain amount of lunch breaks, short breaks in the middle of the day. You usually get a weekend off. Or if you're somebody who works, like, let's say, maybe you do contract work and you're gone for like 2 weeks at a time, you're still required to get a certain amount of days consecutively where you could take a break. Like, am I missing something? Because somehow these men feel like, oh, well, my wife, my girlfriend, she's at home. Okay, but she's still doing the cooking, the cleaning, raising kids, waking up 2, 3 times in the middle of the night. Because let's be real, a lot of these babies are still breastfeeding in the middle of the night. And if you have a 4 or 5-year-old, more than likely, they'll probably have a little accident in the middle of the night and she got to get up and change the sheets because you ain't getting up. Like, who's stepping in so that she can have a lunch break? Who's stepping in so she can have a 15? Who's stepping in so that she gets a weekend?
So how do I put this lightly here? The I destiny. Seeing as you have destiny in your name, it's funny how you don't understand your destiny is to be single. Because at one point you had that. At one point you had that. It just wasn't convenient to you. And for whatever reason, having that and it being inconvenient was somehow less juice per squeeze than not having it and it's still not being convenient. Because here's the thing, if you're walking down a road, or if you're gonna be squeezing oranges anyways, if you're gonna be squeezing oranges anyways, wouldn't you rather have the inconvenience and at least have juice afterwards? Or would you rather squeeze these oranges, go through the inconvenience, and have no juice? If it's an inconvenience either way, you might as well squeeze the oranges and get juice. You might as well. I mean, why would you squeeze the oranges in the first place?
Your wife or girlfriend or baby mama, whatever, has been wearing the same clothes, the same pajamas for the past 3 days, has not brushed her hair, has not washed her hair, and regularly goes through a whole bottle of wine just to make it through the day. And you're like, she's fine, she's good. No, she is at her limit. No, she is depressed.
Hi, my name is Juliana, and I'm a single, married, working mom of 2. I know you're probably thinking my caption doesn't make any sense, but I just want to give light to my situation because I may not be the only one in this specific situation. Let me tell you a little backstory. I've been married for 10 years, and my marriage ended about 5 years ago. When I tell you my marriage ended, I'm telling you, I do not call my husband my husband. He is my baby daddy, and he is a third.
And when you throw the word baby daddy out, it kind of gives a certain vibe. And you guys know what I'm getting at. It just gives a certain type of vibe. And that vibe, for someone looking for a wife, they're staying away from that vibe.
Motherfucking child. I know you're thinking, well, if your marriage has ended, why haven't you gotten divorced? First of all, divorce costs hella money, especially with kids and with a man that does not want to divorce you. And the cost of living is extremely high. And for me, it's really hard for me to maintain these kids all on my own.
All day you're with them, catering to their needs, feeding them, playing with them, educating them, just trying to enrich their lives, right? Your husband gets off work and he wants to chill because he's been at work all day. He thinks that he's been working, so he has the right to chill and relax. He wants to watch sports. But when he gets off, your job is still not done because you have to plan the dinner, go to the grocery store, then you have to cook the dinner. You're cooking dinner while he's chilling with a beer on the couch. Cool. The kids are running around. It's a little bit chaotic, but you're not tripping because you know that bath time and bedtime is coming. And that means it's time for the night to wind down. So you clean up the kitchen from cooking dinner. Then it's time for you to do bedtime with the kids. But not because he can't help, because you asked him so many times.
And it's one of those things too, it's like, I'm not saying that what you do is not important. I'm simply stating the obvious, which is the bigger picture that most of these people are overlooking. Let's face it, they're overlooking the bigger picture. And that's that you wouldn't even be able to do most of this stuff without the man of the house. That's what it comes down to. It's forget all that, I do this and that, because at the end of the day, even if you're a McDonald's worker, you cannot do the work without McDonald's as a corporation providing you the materials to do it. The same thing happens with parenting. Somebody is the head of household, is taking care of the bills, is giving a roof over the head for this type of nonsense to even take place. And so what's the point I'm making? It's not that what you're doing is unimportant or less important. It's just that without one, the other couldn't exist. And when you look at that family structure, you realize this isn't an opportunity to take half of the other person's income. This isn't like a financial opportunity given to women. What it is a crutch for people going through extreme despairs because they got into a bad relationship. This isn't just for single moms who want the easy way out. So let's divorce and get child support. That's not what this is. It's not the easy way out of working. So I would love to see how many of these people who are gaining money from the government or from whatever to take care of someone else's kids. I would love to see what amount of that money they actually spend towards the kids. And I would love to run that and figure out what the real numbers are, because I'll tell you one thing. What the government thinks is going on, what the people who actually survey that issue think is going on, they'll tell you, "Oh, no, don't worry. Most of those people are spending it on the kids." And I'm going to tell you, no, there's something else going on there. Like you can believe what you want, but I'm not dumb. I'll be damned if I leave that conversation looking like the fool. I'm not dumb.
To do it, and then he makes it such a problem and he complains and whines about it. He uses his weaponized incompetence to make it seem like, oh, I don't know what to do. Can you help me? That you just rather do it by yourself because he's sure not going to offer to help you. You're angry and upset and you are really, really overworked, but it's bath time, which means it's bedtime and it's time for the kids to go lay down. The kids go lay down. You walk into your bedroom and your husband is there with his peen out. It's out and he's ready to work you a little bit more before you go to bed.
Here we go again with the marital bullshit. My husband's going to get a tattoo. That's fine. Whatever. Nobody cares. But I'm working. My oldest, she can hold it down downstairs. The baby, she's pretty quiet. So we were going to make it work. However, now his tattoo artist said, hey, can you come in at 3? From 2:30, 3:30, 4:30, 5:30. Now my kids are going to be alone for 4 hours. For damn sure, when you are at work, I'm not just saying, oh, well, you can't go to work because I have to go do something fun for me. I don't do that. Then he needed my help. He needed my help asking my friend, because she works at a pharmacy. He could have just asked her himself.
Yeah.
Nope, he didn't want to. I had to do it. And he also needed my help saran wrapping his arm because he hadn't put numbing cream on the inside of his arm. So I'm telling you that I need your help to watch your children when I'm working. No, you gotta go get a tattoo. And it's not even like I work full time. I work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I did it that way because he's off on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So I work my work schedule around his so that we don't have to leave our children with strangers or just like without a parent, period. And so that
It's not even that complicated. The steps are simple. You get a babysitter. Like where are your parents? Where's the kid's grandma? Where's the kid's grandparents? Why is there no babysitter? And so to want to take an easy way out, it just seems like a lot of these issues you're facing are not even like a bad husband. It just seems inconvenient. It seems like you're inconvenienced by, you know, what occurs when you get pregnant, is what it seems like. It seems like it's an inconvenience to you. That much is clear. So my only question is, it all comes back to one question. If you're going to be juicing oranges anyways, why wouldn't you take the option that at least provides you juice? If you're going to be squeezing oranges on either road, take the basket of oranges, no matter which basket.
Practice because I know that I won't have anyone to do it for me while I'm out here by myself. I'm a married single mom. Of course I know where to take the cars to get their oil changes and tires rotated and have to do them by myself all the time. We made it to soccer practice one time. I'm a married single mom. Of course I already put dinner together before soccer practice because I know that I won't have anyone to do it for me while I'm out here by myself. I'm a married single mom. Of course I know where to take the cars to get their oil changes and tires rotated and have to do them by myself all the time. I'm a married single mom. Of course what was I gonna say? I have a short attention span because I can only think about what my children need all the time because I'm the only one thinking about it. I'm a married.
You're the only one thinking about it. I would like more fucking context. I want to know what your man's like. You know, you tell me, oh, he's abusing me. And you could very well be correct. But it's not going to be the fact that you say that I'm judging you on. No. It'll be whether you even have the basket of oranges or whether you're just telling me they exist. And what you do is you sit back and tell me there's not a basket of oranges. Matter of fact, no, you tell me there's a basket of oranges, but it's producing no juice. You're telling me you're squeezing these oranges and it's just producing no juice. So when I come around, where's my orange juice? Oh, I don't have any. Well, why not? Oh, because these oranges suck. And I go look at your oranges. I go look at your inventory of oranges and there's nothing there. So you might tell me that you're being abused, but it's like, I would like to see it. Where's the orange inventory? You're telling me you got oranges. Where's the orange inventory? And when you're like, okay, here it is, and there's no oranges, I'm going to say, well, obviously there's no juice. There's no orange. Like, that's why life is so difficult, because you couldn't get child support without a qualifying reason to get child support. And this system's been around for years. It's been heavily modified due to trial and error. And, you know, kinks have been worked out for hundreds of years and ongoing. We'll continue to work out those kinks. And it will make it harder for the dishonest people to take opportunity out of things like emergencies or bad situations, or even laws that prevent bad situations, and seeing that as an opportunity rather than something to keep people prosperous, good people and honest people prosperous.
Married single mom. Of course I'm already having a panic attack about getting my son to school an hour ahead of everyone else because he has jazz band practice, but then getting everyone else to school at the same time that I have to be at work on time.
I've been married for almost 18 years, have 3 kids, but I primarily raise my kids alone. And I'm not like looking for sympathy or feeling sorry for myself, because when I met my husband, his job, he was actually military, so I kind of knew that what my life was going to look like. I'm alone with my 3 kids all the time. My favorite comment that people tell me all the time is, I could never be married and like not have my husband around. But my reply back is, what other choice do I have? I made this choice when I got married, but I just don't think enough people really understand what it's like. Like, while I'm not a single mom, I don't have a single income, all of that, all of those benefits, but it's like, you don't have like the person, right? And it's a lot of stress.
And you don't have the person.
What other choice do I have? I made this choice when I got married, but I just don't think enough people really understand what it's like. Like, while I'm not a single mom, I don't have a single income, all of that, all of those benefits, but it's like, you don't have like the person, right?
And that's the trade-off. You can live like a princess. You can have all the needs taken care of. Look at that kitchen in the background. You got a nice air hood, a vent hood above your stove. Those things, they cost money. All this stuff behind you costs money. It didn't just appear there. And somebody had to put that in. And your husband is in a blessed enough position to be able to pay people to essentially create your climate the way it is, your environment and your habitat the way it is. And so through all this comfort, you almost start to live in a fishbowl where you forget what happens outside of that fishbowl to even ensure that that fishbowl remains a fishbowl. And it's fucked, right? Like, you, as the guy who's going off to war to put my wife in a nice home to take care of my kids, right? I mean, let's really break this down. You're working you're pretty much away from home all day, for months too, sometimes for years. And back at home, you're almost being forgotten. And for you to be the one that people, you're asking, like, you say you're not searching for sympathy. And again, it's like, where's the orange inventory? There's no orange inventory. So, you're lying is what I'm saying. You absolutely want sympathy. And my only rebuttal is, how are you the one that wants sympathy? It's like, you're smart enough to see that, like, your life wouldn't be as it is without that guy.
And it's a lot of stress being the person that carries all the decisions, carries all the schedules. And then when they do come home, it's like you have to try to fit them back into it somehow. I'm sure other military wives, people that have husbands that work a lot,
work them into the schedule. Is that what I just heard? No, when he's back, the schedule changes. When he's back, the schedule isn't even the schedule anymore. The schedule gets completely rewritten.
pilot wives, like, we all live kind of this interesting life.
I am so tired. I had somebody ask me the other day, where's your husband? It looks like you're doing everything. And she asked if he was deployed, and I was like, no, he's not deployed. His job is just crazy. He's gonna be leaving to go to work at like 4 p.m. and he's gonna be coming back at like 8 a.m. I take my kids to daycare at 5 a.m. and I'm never gonna see him. He's never gonna see us. That's why I say I'm a single mom, but I'm married. My therapist came up with that one, but it feels so real.
The contribution to a home is...
And your therapist, no offense to her, but telling you that you're a single mom but married, I don't know that that's a helpful mindset. You are not a single mom but married. I feel like the implications for single mom criteria is more like you're paying all the bill. Like, that's just not what's happening. You're not paying all the bills. you're not a single mom. You're not. No.
Yes! That's why I say I'm a single mom, but I'm married. My therapist came up with that one, but it feels so real.
The contribution to a home is so much more than a paycheck. In most homes, both parents were working anyway.
That's true. It is way more than a paycheck.
Both parents were working anyway. So both parents are managing their 40-hour work week, and then typically the mom is carrying 100% of the labor distribution within the home.
That's another thing you see too, right? Like, these moms are strategically going to work and they're realizing they can actually buy back some of their freedom, right? If they got the kids breathing down their neck 24/7, they realize, okay, if I work for 40 hours a week at $20 an hour and I pay my babysitter, uh, let's say minimum wage or whatever, anything, or if I pay somebody, one of my own relatives, family price to watch my children, it's like, well, they're realizing they can buy back at least some of their time. It's another one of those things. Like, they're getting the oranges, which are going to produce the most juice. And they're getting a lot of those oranges. Obviously, in the end, they're going to have more orange juice than you are.
I don't know why we call it distribution of labor when it's not distributed at all. The mental labor of being the CEO of your home, the boss of your entire family, is absolutely draining.
I'm glad she realizes it. I'm glad she realizes it. And thank God she doesn't have to do that, right?
Labor of being the CEO of your home, the boss of your entire family, is absolutely draining.
Mommy's coming. She's coming to save you. And she has boobs.
What happened?
Before, and I'll say it again, for all the men out there that are wondering why the birth rates are dropping, why the marriage rates are dropping, it's because women are getting a sneak peek into the lives of wives and mothers, and they don't like what they see.
That is not why. That is a fraction of the picture. But when you actually look at the whole picture, what you have is many things. You have diversity, equity, and inclusion, giving positions to people based on their sexual orientation, which of that is being gay and not going along with the traditional family route. With quite an incentive, why wouldn't people go with that? They're going to go with the option where the oranges produce the most juice. And so this is seeming less and less like a squeezable orange. This is seeming like a lot less of a squeezable orange. People don't want to squeeze this orange anymore. And it's completely valid. You know? With that, I'll be right back. We're going to take a small break and I'll be right back. Stay here. Don't fucking leave. So our next segment, I'm going to go ahead and segue into a different topic here. When you... Let's move this mic a little bit. Let's move it. Let's just make some minor adjustments here. So when you need protection, right? You need protection. You possibly hire a bodyguard, right? You have bodyguards. You've seen CEOs with bodyguards walking around.
Only the best bodyguards know this technique.
So, obviously, you've seen bodyguards before. Not like this, but like... This is a perfect example. When you need protection, generally you pay your bodyguards. You pay your security or whatever. They make a flat rate. And that's what it is. So of course they're usually making $100,000 to $200,000 a year based on the AI overview from Google Gemini. But that's not always accurate. You guys know that's not always accurate. Sometimes the payment methods are completely legal and the transactions are completely allowed, like the $100,000 to $200,000. And some people end up going past the bottom of their pockets, past the surface of the skin, and they're selling their soul. They're giving up their entire identity for that protection. And it starts in a weird way, right? Because it starts in what you would call a consensual business transaction.
The Israeli forces targeted a town where a Palestinian has been sheltering in Khan Yunis in Beni Suhaila. And after asking people who are living there, is this area in the yellow line or beyond the yellow line, they said that this area is not in the yellow line. And since the beginning of the ceasefire, the Israeli forces have been targeting a lot of Palestinians. We're talking about at least 241 Palestinians that have been killed since this.
So,
let's cross now to Noga Tarnopolsky, our Jerusalem correspondent. Noga, Turkey's of course been a vocal critic of the war, so was this to be expected?
Good morning, Peter.
So Turkey has now issued 37 warrants against Netanyahu, which is of course the leader of Israel. And when you look at Israel history, Israel's not been around that long. You guys know Israel's not been around that long. Like it's really just like a new actual country. But the people born in what's called the land of Israel, it's a governing body of a Jewish community. The Jewish National Council began work on the organization of a Jewish provisional government. So just to kind of give you a little bit of a history rundown. Israel is a very religious country. It's a very religious country. And whether or not you're on whatever side, um it, the Jewish people themselves have actually been through quite a bit with like World War II and stuff like that. But that's not what I'm here to get into. Um so just to give you a little rundown on a little bit of this stuff, Israel not been around that long. Mostly made up of Jewish people. They have a sensitive spot for, any kind of Nazism, anything that goes against the Jewish religion, which is like, it's kind of like a justified thing sometimes. It's justified. It would obviously depend on the amount of force that you're using to, to commit the acts that you're doing, and the amount of force that's done against you or used against you. But it's no longer equal force when you're essentially blackmailing political leaders, like, well, just to give you a rundown here. $90 to 95% of U.S. politicians are pro-Israel. I can't even get 100% of my brain to agree with what I want for lunch today. So I can't even get 90% of it. I'm always split 50-50 between the mac and cheese or fried chicken. If you're telling me that 95% of people are in support of something, something deeper is going on there. So, when you know very little about a topic, 70 to 85%. When you get into 99 to 100%, that's like objective stuff. That's like, at that point, it's what's called a truthful social construct, like gravity, for instance, or that 2 plus 2 equals 4, 100% in math literacy surveys. So a lot of people agree that 2 plus 2 equals 4. And if you take a large pool of people and survey them and ask them if 2 plus 2 equals 4. 99 to 100% of those people are going to tell you yes. But if it's something they know very little about, suddenly the chances go down. What if it's about something subjective and moral, not objective and moral? All of a sudden the chances go down to 60 to 75%. But remember, 90 to 95% of US politicians are pro-Israel. It begs the question, how did they get so many people on board, and why? Why do they need all these people on board? Because it's no longer about just, Netanyahu getting a bunch of warrants for his arrest. It's no longer about that. There's something deeper going on here. Just something completely different going on. So, when you have when you have 54%, even if you're not a full subscriber, that something deeper is going on, let's at least look at the numbers here and break this down. So 46 to 54% of US adults, US citizens, are pro-Israel. Look how small that percentage is. So why are we being represented? Even if you're not a subscriber to anything deeper is going on, why are we being represented by somebody or a pool of people who completely disagree with us on important matters? So, $3.8 billion goes to Israel for foreign aid, including but not limited to military equipment, such and such like that. Mostly war-related supplementals. And when you're giving 1% of your budget, you're putting 1% of your budget to something that has 90 to 95% support, it's almost certainly something deeper going on with everything we discussed here. That it's for military defense. Look, all I'm saying is that's kind of weird that we would give $3.8 billion, 4.3 total billion dollars, $21.7 billion since 2023, it's kind of odd that we're sending these people that much money when we don't see or hear about them as citizens. Yeah, they might help our military, but how much are they helping versus how much does it actually cost for our politicians to be so sold out to them? Because on a bad year where we're defending them, oh, you best believe that 4.3 billion total, that goes up, baby. That goes up. When we're really defending them and standing by them in everything that they do, that number goes up. And at what point is it no longer profitable? At what point is the juice no longer worth the squeeze? And when you get into that, and it's like, this is beyond anything to do with a religion at this point. When you break the numbers down, something isn't adding up. The U.S. population itself is not being represented. It's not being represented. You got 90 to 95% in support. But when you break down the actual U.S. population numbers, 46 to 54, 'What percentage of people in contact with Epstein are pro-Israel?' And this is just one man. You know? His financial backers, 90% of them are pro-Israel. Political figures, 80%. That's still odd. That's still odd. Of course, you can't get everyone under your spell. 100% of his intelligence advisors have indeed been pro-Israel. But why? Why are celebrities so low? Could it be that they know something? Academics, so smart people? Would you say intelligence? So who's smart here? He has intelligence / advisors at 100%. And he has academics. Academia is at 50%. But who's the intelligent one here? Is it the 50% that are pro-Israel? And the other 50% of academias that aren't? because there's something weird about these numbers. There's some things connecting. And a lot of you might think that that's not something to look into. It's not something that we should be researching, whatever. You can think whatever about it. It doesn't matter. But the numbers are what they are. Whether you like them or not, whether you agree with them or not, the numbers, they just are what they are. But it could point to something. You see why I'm researching this. This could point to something else going on. And all this is leaning on is high-profile names and individuals. These are people that are known. This isn't talking about the people that aren't known that he talks to. These are the high-profile individuals. Donald Trump is a strong yes. So, when you look back at like the Charlie Kirk thing, it's kind of odd how little people were even bringing up Netanyahu into the discussion. It's just odd how few people there were bringing him into the discussion. Like when you look at the public consensus, not the celebrities and influencers, when you look at the public consensus, most of the people weren't bringing Netanyahu into the discussion whatsoever. It's only been since like very recently that, if any, that the public consensus is talking about this. But before that, nobody was even connecting dots with Israel or Epstein or anybody like that for that matter. But once the whole Charlie Kirk thing happened, again, very few people, even then, and the people who were mostly like influencers and podcasters. So one would say that it's very odd to feel like you need to come out and say, like, I don't know, let's say I steal your oranges and I go squeeze juice out of them and nobody accuses me of stealing your oranges. Then it would mean jack shit. Yet, if I still came out and said, well, I didn't steal those oranges, just out of the blue, it's like, well, why in the fuck would you say that? Let me dig deeper on that one and I'll get back to you. And you find out I stole your oranges?
Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister, said that the bigger the lie, the faster it will spread. Well, somebody has fabricated a monstrous big lie that Israel had something to do with Charlie Kirk's horrific murder. This is insane. It is false. It is outrageous. Charlie Kirk was a giant, a once-in-a-century talent who defended freedom, defended America, defended our common Judeo-Christian civilization. Charlie loved Israel. He loved the Jewish people. He told me so in a letter that he sent me just a few months ago. One of my greatest joys as a Christian, he said, is advocating for Israel and forming alliances with Jews to protect Judeo-Christian civilization. He encouraged me to make the case directly to the American people about how vital Israel is to U.S. national security. He told me, the Holy Land is so important to my life, it pains me to see support for Israel slip away.
Now, for the record here, I am not saying that Netanyahu had anything to do with it. What I am saying is, if I steal your oranges and nobody accuses me of it, but then I come out of the blue to say that I didn't steal your oranges, it's a bit odd. And I'm not saying that nobody accused Netanyahu of it. I'm just saying the amount of people that did and actually believed it, very few, and not enough to offset the narrative. So I don't see why you would have to come out and say that.
Now, if Charlie disagreed with a policy of mine or a decision here and there, not only did I not mind, I welcomed it. This is the essence of Charlie. This is the essence of a free country.
Now, frankly, Netanyahu is going to win or lose either way, depending on whether he did it or not. It doesn't matter whether he comes out and says it or not. But if he did do it, the best thing he would have is to come out and say he didn't do it, right? Not sure. Is the juice worth the squeeze? Or does that put more people onto you? Or more people like, why in the fuck would he say that?
Exactly what Charlie stood for. And I knew that his suggestions always came from the heart, from his love for Israel and from his love for the Jewish people. A few weeks before his death, I spoke to Charlie. I invited him to visit Israel again. And sadly, that won't happen.
Okay. This man is guilty. He has made 3 to 4 statements. The guilt is tearing him up. If the devil speaks, take and believe the opposite. Isn't this like his 4th denial? So obviously, people aren't buying this. As you can see, the general consensus is like people aren't buying this stuff. And even if they were, Netanyahu would have to sell it at a cheap price. If they were buying what he's saying, his talk would have to be cheap. And let's be honest. Let's be honest. With inflation these days, it would have to be real cheap. We're talking less than 1% of the budget. We're talking less than 1% of that budget, dog. If words are the power, if words and the knowledge is the wealth of those words, we would have to pay less than 1% of the budget for whatever these words are. Because there's not much knowledge behind them. Just sit with that one for a minute.